All right, let's talk about key management. It's this massive, invisible architecture that's constantly working behind the scenes to secure our entire digital world. It's really all about the complex dance of creating, sharing, and protecting the very secrets that lock and unlock all of our data. So, let's dive in.
And this quote, it just nails the stakes we're dealing with. In cryptography, you see, having the key isn't just about unlocking one message, it's about controlling the entire conversation, past, present, and future. If you lose the key, you lose absolutely everything. Which brings up the most important question of all. How on earth do we share and protect these incredibly powerful secrets?
And that, right there, is the fundamental challenge. Just imagine you and a friend are trying to whisper secrets to each other in a huge, crowded room where literally anyone can listen in. Well, the internet is that crowded room. So how do you agree on a secret code, a key, without some eavesdropper hearing what it is? This is the core problem we're going to unpack today. Now, this challenge actually has a formal name, the key distribution problem. It's the classic chicken and egg scenario. With what's called symmetric encryption, you both need the exact same secret key to talk securely. But to get that key safely over to the other person, you need a secure way to talk in the first place. See the problem? So, to put it really simply, it's all about getting a key from point A to point B over a public network, like the internet, without someone in the middle snatching a copy. Because if they grab that key, all the fancy encryption in the world isn't going to help you one bit. Game over.
Now, you might be thinking, hey, why not just create a unique secret key for every single pair of people who need to talk? Well, as you can see here, that idea falls apart really fast. The number of keys you need doesn't just grow, it explodes exponentially. For a small network of just 10,000 users, you'd have to securely create and manage nearly 50 million keys. It's a complete logistical nightmare.
Okay, so to solve this insane scaling problem, the first big idea was to introduce a trusted middleman, a single, central entity that everyone on the network could rely on to handle the keys. You can think of it like a digital locksmith for the entire community. And this digital locksmith is called a Key Distribution Center, or KDC. The idea is brilliant. Instead of every person managing millions of keys, you just need one single secure connection to the KDC. Then, whenever you want to talk to someone, you just ask the KDC, and it generates a brand new, temporary key, just for that one conversation.
The way the KDC system works is actually pretty clever. It uses a two-level hierarchy of keys. First, every user has a long-term master key that they share only with the KDC. Think of that as your key to the main building. Then, for any single conversation, the KDC creates a temporary, disposable session key. That's like a one-time use keycard for a specific meeting room. This way, if a session key ever gets stolen, the damage is limited to just that one conversation.
So, let's walk through how this works. Alice pings the KDC and says, "Hey, I want to talk to Bob." The KDC whips up a new session key. It then sends two things back to Alice. One copy of the key for her, securely locked with her master key, and a second copy of that same key, but this one's locked in a digital box that only Bob's master key can open. Alice just forwards that box to Bob. He unlocks it, and voila! They both have the same secret session key, and no eavesdropper ever got to see it. Now, the KDC is a smart solution, but it has a huge weakness. It's one big, central target. If that KDC ever gets compromised or just goes offline, the entire network is suddenly blind and deaf. This massive vulnerability led people to ask a revolutionary question. What if we didn't need to share a secret key at all? And that brings us to the absolute magic of asymmetric or public key cryptography. Here, everyone gets a pair of keys that are mathematically linked together. One is your public key. You can post it on a billboard, shout it from the rooftops, it doesn't matter who sees it. The other is your private key, and you guard that with your life. Anyone in the world can use your public key to lock a message, but only you, with your private key, can unlock it. The secret part never has to be shared. Problem solved, right? Well, it sounds like the perfect solution. It seems like we've completely eliminated the key distribution problem. But, as is so often the case in solving one huge problem, we've accidentally created a brand new one, a more subtle and arguably much more dangerous problem. A problem of identity. I mean, think about it for a second. If someone on the street hands you a key and says, "Hey, this is the key to Bob's mailbox," how do you really know it's Bob's key? How do you know they're not an imposter trying to get you to send your mail to their mailbox instead? This is the new dilemma, proving identity. And this terrifying scenario has a name you've probably heard of: the man-in-the-middle attack. An attacker, let's call her Eve, positions herself silently between Alice and Bob. To Alice, she pretends to be Bob. To Bob, she pretends to be Alice. Meanwhile, Alice and Bob think they're having a perfectly private and secure conversation, but Eve is in the middle, reading and maybe even changing every single word.
Here's exactly how it goes down. Alice announces her public key for Bob. Eve, sitting in the middle, snags it out of the air. She then sends her own public key over to Bob, but claims it's from Alice. Bob has no reason to doubt it, so he uses Eve's key to encrypt his secret message. Eve intercepts it, uses her private key to unlock and read it, then she re-encrypts it with Alice's real public key and sends it along. The message gets to Alice, and neither she nor Bob has any clue their entire private conversation was just compromised.
So this brings us to the real heart of the issue. We desperately need a way to prove that a public key actually belongs to the person or website it claims to. We don't just need a key anymore. We need some kind of verifiable ID for that key. What we need is a digital passport. And that is the absolute best way to think about a digital certificate. It's not just the key itself, it's the key packaged together with verified information about who owns it, and the whole thing is sealed with a stamp of approval from a highly trusted source. This digital passport is formally known as a public key certificate, and the technical standard for it is called X.509. It's a digital document that officially binds a public key to a specific identity. And to make it trustworthy, it's digitally signed by a trusted third party called a certificate authority, or a CA. You can think of CAs as the official passport offices of the internet. So if we were to crack open one of these digital passports, what would we see inside? Well, you'd find the subject's name, that's who owns it. You'd see their public key, of course. You'd see the issuer name, which CA is vouching for this. It would have a period of validity with expiration dates, just like a real passport, and most importantly, the digital signature of the CA itself. That signature is the mathematical proof that the certificate is legit and hasn't been tampered with. But wait, you might ask, how do we know we can trust the certificate authorities themselves? Well, it all works on something called a chain of trust. Your web browser and your operating system come with a small pre-installed list of globally trusted root CAs. These root CAs then delegate their authority by signing certificates for intermediate CAs, and those intermediates can then sign the certificates for individual websites. So when you visit a site, your browser can trace the signature on its certificate all the way back up the chain to one of the roots it already trusts by default. Now, when you take a step back and you put all of these different pieces together, the public and private keys, the digital certificates, all the certificate authorities, and the rules and policies that govern them, you realize you're looking at a massive, interconnected global system. And this whole shebang, this entire global ecosystem, has a name: the Public Key Infrastructure, or PKI. It is the complete architecture of technology and policy that allows us to manage digital identities and public keys on a global scale, finally solving both the key distribution problem and the identity verification problem. And this is the payoff for all of that mind-bending complexity. The key distribution centers, the asymmetric keys, the certificates, the chains of trust, all of it works together, silently, in the background, to power one simple, familiar thing: that little padlock icon you see in your browser's address bar every single day. That lock is the final signal that the entire public key infrastructure has done its job, verifying identity and giving you a secure connection. So, at the end of the day, we've built this vast, intricate, and truly amazing architecture of digital trust. But it's important to remember that all of it, every last bit, ultimately rests on our collective faith in a very small number of these root certificate authorities. It's an incredibly effective system, but it does leave us with one final critical question to think about. What are the consequences if one of those foundational pillars of trust ever cracks?